This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party.
Our color grading guy in New York.
You're using so many words I don't know.
I think the only person that's understanding this is Tom, because Tom's like, oh yeah, I totally know what you're talking about.
Nipples are hard, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
This is the stuff that gets him going.
Okay, so you said grading and scoring?
Yeah, so scoring is...
Let's have a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.
Well, welcome to the PB and Jaisy podcast. I'm Bill Stedham.
I'm Sarah Paget.
I'm Jaisy.
And I gotta tell you,
Jaisy doesn't have a last name.
no, she
I'm
doesn't.
Jaisy George.
She doesn't. But here we are. We're back where we started from with our very first
Familiar
guest.
face.
Very first guest has come back to visit with us. And I gotta tell you, I remember when this guy walked into my office, it seems like 8 or 9 years ago. He came stumbling on in.
Was he drunk?
No.
He just broke. I don't know
He sat down in my lobby and he said, "I'm going to be an investor." And you know how many times we hear this, right? I want to get my real estate license. So I'm going to be an investor. And we start talking about a lot of stuff, and just an amazing, amazing individual that then turned into not only an outstanding realtor, but started writing books, has started writing movies and films and acting, and we are super, super happy to have Lafayette back.
Well, and you know it's a good guess when you have to decide, like, what direction are we going to go? Because we could go 18.
You have so many different things that you are doing. What do you want us to talk about?
Yeah. So, Laf, tell us bring us up to speed. I think that
it's been about a year.
There's
right?
been a happening that's
guest.
happened in the last year, has there not?
Yeah, it's definitely been a lot. Still doing real estate. I have my fiance here. Gonna be getting married.
Are you sure? Are you sure you want to get married?
I am sure now. Now, now that she's here, now that we...
Because if I don't remember, they've been long distance.
They have for a long
5 years, almost 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what is it like having Irene here now?
I mean, it's a big help. It's a lot easier.
Well, and you can be honest too. Is it because because Michael used to travel all the time, or he'd play on the weekends, and when he's home all the time, I'm like, go do something, like go somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah.
You know, especially with her like being away from her family and all that.
Yeah, and she's gonna have new friends and
yeah. So I would say the first month or so was really hard for her.
Yeah.
And given everything that I'm doing right now, it was kind of hard.
Yeah.
Just making sure that she's good.
Well, and y'all are both pretty independent too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all have a lot of your own things and your own activities.
Yeah.
And so that's good.
Yeah. So it was just like that initial, shock of just like being in a new country without your family and
everything that you're used to being around.
And all of that.
I mean, just about to get married is crazy enough. There's a lot of emotions that go with that and a lot of planning. And
It's called wedding brain, isn't it?
Yes, and y'all just bought a house. I saw on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I almost forgot about that, but yeah. So, still transitioning with that, still have my old house. So
you're going to rent that out?
Renting it out.
Awesome. So you're an investor now.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you wanted to do, right?
Go.
So it's just like, having the contractors come in and, getting all of that,
That's
ready.
so
to
exciting.
That's awesome.
So bring me up to speed, because you said a minute ago some of the things that you're involved in now. So tell us about some of the things that you're involved in writing and acting and that.
Yeah, so finished producing my second short film back in October. We filmed it. In post-production right now, we're pretty much near the end of having everything complete, at least for the the very first run. So we got the scoring back this past week. We sent it over to our color grading guy in New York.
You're using so many words I don't know.
I think the only person that's understanding this is Tom, because Tom's like, oh yeah, I totally know what
Tom's
you're talking
nipples
about.
are hard, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, we went there.
This is the stuff that gets him going.
Okay, so you said grading and scoring?
Yeah, so scoring is like the music that you hear for the film. So got linked with a composer based out in England.
Oh, that's
and,
cool. And they're writing specifically for your stuff?
Yeah, so it's all original music.
You mean like Barry Manilow did your music?
Not
He
quite.
probably doesn't know.
I've heard the name, but yeah, so he sent it back. He was like, "Hey, let me know what you think of this." It was the initial score, and I was like, "Bro,
Blown
this
away.
is amazing."
That's awesome.
And like he just sent like 7 different parts to certain scenes. He sent it all back, and I'm just like,
But
wow.
to have something written for you and for what you're working, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. So now we sent a drive to New York, and my director is amazing. His name is Calvin Walker. He's a local director here in the DFW Metroplex, and I've really learned so much from him. So not only has he been a great director, but he's also been a great and phenomenal mentor for me as well.
Awesome.
So I had to give him a shout out. But he linked me up not only with this composer, but also this color grader.
What is a color grader?
So basically, when you shoot a film, you shoot it flat as far as like the color goes. So you could add the color in post production. So if you like watch certain movies, and now that I'm explaining it, you'll be able to pick up on it. But there's certain like tints to certain movies,
like a filter on a film.
But
Right.
also it can change the feelings that you feel when you see it.
Right.
It's an emotional response,
right.
I'm sure.
So it's certain,
Something happier will be a brighter,
Right.
something sadder will be a more dull color.
So there's like certain moods that the film or the scene will give off based off of the color.
Gotcha.
So have you guys seen the movie Limitless? So with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
So you can
He takes the pill and it
like expands his mind.
Oh, I don't think I've seen it. Maybe I need
it's
to.
great.
It's good.
So you'll see like in the movie when he's not on the pill, the color is dull.
Gotcha.
But when he's on the pill, all the
bright.
colors are extremely vibrant.
Okay.
So those are the things that you play with in post as far as colors. So you'll shoot a film flat.
Like my chest.
So you can determine in post like what
But
kind
I think
of color
that's the
that
kind
you
of stuff
want.
we don't think of because when you're in the moment and you've got the sights and the sounds and the, of course we don't have smell-o-vision yet, but I'm sure that's coming. But you've got all that and we don't realize it,
Yeah.
right? We don't realize until you get it behind the scenes and you realize everything that's included. But you feel those emotions. And I know for me, like certain sounds and music spur those emotions. And if you change that, it would be totally different.
Yeah.
You get a totally different feeling,
Yeah.
and it's the scene's the same,
Yeah.
but the back is changing.
And this film is the first time that I've had like all of these moving parts together. So we had a costume design with Chaunessey, and she's amazing. She's
That's awesome.
one of the greatest. Like,
Is she local as well?
She's local, and just like seeing her work and then seeing the costumes we were on set, I was like, you really like the GOAT of this.
It sounds
shit
like you've
for
got
real.
great people on your team that understand your vision and exactly what you were thinking when you wrote it, and it's all coming together.
It's phenomenal just, connecting with all of these people and the makeup artist and just like really being in tune to each scene and picking out clothes specifically for each scene just to move the story forward. It was just incredible.
I really hope you are watching YouTube right now because Lafayette's face when he talks about it brightens and his wheels are spinning.
We didn't change this in post. This is him in actuality.
You wrote it.
I wrote it.
You produced it.
I wrote it, produced it,
Are
executive
you
produced
acting in it at all?
I'm not acting.
Okay.
That's
Tell me-
just a whole different
It's too much,
animal.
yeah.
It's a lot.
Tell me a little bit about the writing process. Like, what is this short film about?
So this short film specifically is about allyship, and it's told through a story of a workplace harassment situation.
Is it from Century 21?
It's not.
Okay, good.
Is this why you left?
It's actually a tech company.
Did you bring the lawsuit with you?
Well, but no. So it's really just I felt like allyship was an important story to tell, just because of the fact that, like we were talking about before, this podcast. A lot of people want to preach allyship or want to
What is
preach,
allyship?
whether it's, be an ally to a certain community, whether it's the Black community, whether it's people of color, whether it's LGBTQ or whatever, if you're preaching allyship, I think it's more than just making a post on social media.
Right. That's an easy thing to do. You're not taking the step.
But are you lobbying when it comes to laws that infringe upon their rights? Are you donating to causes that help them?
Speaking up when you see it happening in front of you.
Exactly.
Or are you giving money to someone that's for it? Like knowing where your dollars are going.
Right.
You vote with your dollars.
Right. Or, are you voting for a candidate that opposes? You know what I mean? So all of those things.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, you have to be for everything that they are for. But, when it comes to rights, I think that's the most basic thing that you can vouch for
sure.
these certain groups. And, I just thought it was something important to write. So to kind of give background on the film itself, there's 2 workers. They have the opportunity to vote in their manager who's going to manage the combined departments.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We're going to vote.
Yeah.
So one of the colleagues has a decision to make: be loyal to a candidate who is promising promotion and for him to be his second, right-hand man,
Right.
or to be loyal to his Black female colleague who has confided in him, letting him know that she has been on the receiving end on unwarranted sexual advances.
Gotcha.
So
it's a moral dilemma.
It's a moral dilemma, and he has to decide, hey, this could really change my life, this money, or, be loyal to her,
Right.
and not get that opportunity.
Right.
So it's, which one do you choose? And that's the theme of the short film.
Well, when you say short film, how long is a short film?
So generally a short film can be, typically if you're doing like the film festival circuit, you're looking at like up to 20 minutes. This one specifically is just over 11, like maybe like 11 and a half minutes.
Is that not crazy for all that to go and all that work to go in for 11 minutes?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I wrote this maybe back in the end of 2020, maybe.
And now it's just
coming to fruition.
Wow.
We were working on the script back and forth, continuing to get it tighter and tighter. Because I think when I first wrote it, it was like 18 minutes or 18 pages. And each page generally equals a minute.
Gotcha.
On film. And we just kept getting it tighter and tighter and tighter, taking out scenes that didn't make sense or that wasn't necessarily assisting with moving the story forward.
Right. You have to start cutting some of the stuff.
Yeah. So then we shot in October, and really just been in post since, and we should be done, if not the middle of this month, then the end of this month. So
That's so exciting.
I'm intrigued by that. So you publish your short film. Now what happens once it's published?
So we're gonna run the film festival circuit. So basically just submit it to a bunch of film festivals, specific film festivals that we're targeting, and see if we can network, see if we can, find future collaborators, investors,
That's awesome.
producers. And then maybe after a year or so, then we'll possibly, put it out, on the internet. I think probably before we hit the festival circuit, or maybe even during, we may do a screening, whether it's online or in, small theaters, just to kind of see how it feels and how it sounds,
Sure.
on the big screen, and, see if we have to do more work on it before continuing the film festival circuit. But that's where we're at.
Couple other questions.
Good.
On something like this, it sounds like, based on what you described...
It sounds expensive.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. It sounds like it takes some bucks.
It is. And
It is. Period.
Yeah. About that.
that's one of the reasons why I work as hard as I do. Because people are like, man, you're always working. I'm like, yeah, because I got
To work.
expensive ass
I gotta work.
hobbies.
I gotta work because I gotta work.
But Yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm hopeful. And anybody watching this, if you want to be an executive producer, you know, any of these
there you
next
go.
short films, you know, hit me up.
We will link that in the description box below to reach out.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately, you know, my ultimate goal, originally it was to be, you know, a writer for Hollywood, but after seeing like how much they get paid in comparison to everybody else, I'm like, nah, I ain't about that.
Well, and I think Hollywood has such an influence on what you can write and how you can write it, and they start to manipulate what you want, whereas you know, being an independent, do what you want.
Yeah, and
know?
in my personal opinion, like this whole, like the aura of Hollywood, in my opinion, is dead. It's not as big as it was back in, you know, 90s, 80s, 70s, and so
I think
on.
technology changes that too. I mean, we literally we'll never ever have the time or the capacity to watch, read, or listen to what's out there.
Right,
You know?
and if you think about Hollywood now, everything is adaptations or like rewrites. So if you look at the box
Nothing is
office
new.
right now, it's all Marvel, DC,
or remakes of movies that were made years ago.
Exactly. As opposed to like some of these movies that are coming out, or let's take Get Out by Jordan Peele, for instance. Super low budget. I say super low budget. It was like
But for
$6 million.
Hollywood, yeah.
But it didn't get picked up by, you know, the big Hollywood production companies. It got picked up by Blumhouse, and what they did, and what I would love for my production company to sort of be tailored to or patterned by, is they paid all the actors scale, right? So basically scale, they pay them the minimum or the amount that they are allowed to pay them based off of the Screen Actors Guild, but then they give them points. So that way,
Based on performance or
On how well it
so
does,
if
they
the
get a
movie
portion of
does
that.
really well, then they get a $7 million check or whatever. So Get Out, $6 million I think budget, did so well on the screens that all the actors, everyone that had points, got checks in the mail.
Wow.
$1 million checks in the
That's
mail.
amazing. I recently heard of that show Squid Games that went really popular on Netflix.
Yeah.
They had such like a low, because no one expected for it to go big, and they sold it to Netflix for such a little amount, and then it got so big, and they're not getting anything from it, and it's all these people that are now, you know, getting notoriety just from social media and stuff like that. But as far as money from something that they really contributed to, they're not really seeing anything in that.
And I would say, so not only is that production company, you know, a big inspiration in what I'm trying to do, but I read an article not too long ago about M. Night Shyamalan.
Shout out.
He acts in all his stuff, right?
He always has a little cameo.
A little cameo.
But one of the biggest things is like after, was it the Sixth Sense? Is it Fifth Sense?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
But then they did a remake, The Seventh Sense. I'm just kidding.
But it was like, it was so big at the time. Like it felt like he was always trying to live up to that with his next films.
Oh, yeah.
And it got to a point where nobody in Hollywood believed in him. And for one of his, when he made his comeback, you know, he was begging so many producers like, hey, just give me a chance. Nobody would give him a chance. So he decided to self-finance, get money from the bank, linked up with this same production company called Blumhouse, where they do the low budget. I can't remember what the budget was, but the spread was so wide that now he's able to produce his own films. He doesn't even need Hollywood anymore.
That's awesome.
So like even if...
So you think that's where the industry's going?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm so surprised that more production companies aren't doing this. And I've watched interviews of this guy. I think it's Jason Blum is his name. But it's just like, it's genius. Like they produced a film with J-Lo in it. I forget the name of the movie. It was one of the most recent ones. But up front, they paid her $11,000
That's it.
to do a film.
Wow.
And that's just what's based off of
J-Lo.
the SAG.
just based off of
But she had to believe probably in what the message was to agree to something like that. I would assume.
and they have a track record of great
Here's what we did the last time.
Yeah, and they've produced. They've been the production company or produced all of M. Night's most recent films. Even if they get bad ratings, like he has those core fans. Number one, that the spread is so large that everybody gets paid and then everybody gets their money back.
Which I'm wondering if she makes more money on something like that than she would a flat fee up front. You know what I mean? Or at least the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's possible.
So
At least she's.
Yeah, so you're
not capped.
You're betting on yourself and the movie. It's gonna make you market the movie more because you're not getting your money paid up.
And it'll probably make you select what, because I think that's where a lot of actors mess up too. If they don't feel the part that they're in, or they're not, they don't gel with that, or it's not something that they're passionate about, you can tell in the movie, and
They don't believe it.
Yeah.
They don't believe in.
So it's putting some skin in the game.
Right. Because like $11,000 for a J-Lo,
that surprises me.
Yeah.
That's what people would pay to take a picture with her.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I feel like that's the way that the industry should be going.
Yeah.
But it hasn't, just because, Hollywood, Marvel.
I think there'll be a little bit of both always.
Yeah.
I think there'll be that Hollywood, just because the money's there, they're going to keep doing it. But I really feel like movie theaters are kind of on their way out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them closed during the pandemic. So many people go to Netflix, Hulu, whatever.
Yeah.
And the mini-series and that kind of stuff, it's taken over
Well, and it's like
entertainment.
book publishing. You can now self-publish. I don't know how easy that is to do or hard, but you no longer have to go to a publishing house to figure out what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So that means there's going to be a lot of crap put out too, but that also means that there's going to be some really cool things that aren't stunted by someone that doesn't have, $80 million.
And I think theaters are going to get more creative as far as what they do. Maybe not only just movies,
but some of the short films and stuff.
Short films, maybe even series as well, where you have a membership and you can watch a series each week.
That would be cool.
I'm giving out too much game right now. I know. But it's just
free popcorn and movies.
free game.
You're pitching out good ideas.
But a lot of
AMC,
people,
if you're watching,
a lot of people will get together and do watch parties, and they'll watch the award ceremonies, or they'll watch,
one of my best
Real
friends
Housewives of whatever.
One of my best friends, my best friend, we watch. There's a show that we watch. We'll pick a series and we'll watch it together over FaceTime or Google Duo, and then afterwards we watch it. We talk about it and go into like character analysis and stuff like that, and that's fun for us. And I would love to do that if it was in a movie theater. You just see it in a luxury experience.
One of my buddies actually came up with that idea like years ago, and he was like, "Bro, this would be a good idea." And I was like, "Yeah, we just need some money first to do it."
Well, and this theater here in Mansfield, I don't know if it's going to open.
The Far
or not.
Theater?
There's a movie theater right here by At Home, and it's like one where you would eat and drink. They've got a bar and stuff. But they finished it before COVID, but then it never opened. So it's been sitting there almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that, if that's still the plan. Or
Might have to pull some money.
So what does the future in writing look like for Lafayette? Are you working on your next big project?
So I already have another short film written. Gotta work on, tightening that script. Gotta re-up on the funds to shoot that. My dream is gonna be a reality that I'm gonna shoot that in LA. Oh. That's the goal. Just to get out there, and it's a little different out there. I'm not gonna lie, even though you can shoot anywhere, really.
Well, if you ever need actors, my brother is a theater teacher. Now it's 7th and 8th grade, but if you ever need younger adult actor, or young adult, I guess, or young adult.
Children?
Preteen?
Kids?
If you want some kids.
If you want some kids.
But so that's the plan. I'm in school right now.
That's what I've heard. At USC?
UCLA. They have an extension program where you can do,
is that screenwriting, or is that, what are you doing?
Yeah, so for feature film writing, because of the fact that writing for a short film and then writing for like a feature film, it's
totally
a whole different ballgame.
My brother did a lot of playwriting. Like he had a couple things performed, so he kind of on the other side of it. But he went to Boston and got his master's, and it's all but now he teaches theater.
Because even just with playwright, it's just or television.
It's all different.
It's
Yeah.
completely
Right.
Well, the
different.
cadences are different, and
all of
yeah,
that,
yeah.
all of that, even like with acting in plays and.
So I have a question. When do you find time to write? Because I've already heard 17 things that you're involved in.
How do you balance this? Where do you get the bandwidth?
So I think, I'm not gonna lie, it does get a lot at times, and it does get extremely overwhelming, especially when everything is happening at once. Like,
Yeah.
I need to write an offer, or I have a client, asking me questions, and then I have,
Irene wants attention.
Yeah.
you give her
Irene wants to go
attention,
out, whatever.
and you have people on your film asking you, hey, I need this, this, and that, and then just everything that goes into it. But really, that's one of the reasons why I try to get to bed between 9:30 and 10:30.
And then you're up early, right?
Yeah, I try to wake up between 4:30 and 5.
Bill's already been up like 6 hours then.
Yeah.
No, only a couple now. But I go to
He gets
bed
earlier
about,
every time.
I go to bed about an hour earlier than he does.
Yeah.
So then I just try to keep a routine, Monday through Friday. Wake up early, go to the gym. That's kind of like my time to get
Miracle
everything
morning.
going.
Yeah.
After I shower, I try to do meditations, and then that's when
When you write.
I get my writing. If I have homework, I'm working on that.
Wow.
Until
Make me tired.
until
It's
about
all
maybe
time management.
8:45 or 9. Then I get ready to
That's
work on pays the
wow.
bills.
Well,
Well,
not to cut you short, but
We've got a little session called Tales from the Log Box.
okay, this has nothing to do with writing or producing or really anything we talked about, but I thought it was really funny. So this girl gets invited out. She's in high school. She gets invited out to a date with this guy. He says, let's just go to my house. We'll watch, Netflix. We'll grab a pizza, whatever. He got like a frozen pizza. They're watching this movie and the ding goes off for the pizza. And he's like, man, this is the worst part. And the guy goes to the oven, opens the oven, grabs the rack and all.
With
from
his bare hands.
With his bare hands, is yelling and screaming in pain because he's burning himself, and takes the pizza out of the oven. She said she did not have a second date with said man.
That would be the worst part. I wouldn't make pizza anymore.
Right.
Like, what? Because apparently he's done it before. And do you love pizza that much? I mean, yes would be my answer,
How
but
stupid can you
But
be?
also, like, sometimes
is
I
the
don't.
worst part.
Sometimes I don't have an oven mitt readily available, and I'll just grab like a rag. Use something, a towel. Don't use your bare
Good
hands.
Lord.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't understand. I think that there are just stupid people out there. But with that, we need to level
level
up.
Okay, so I've got a great quote from someone who I love to read, Jaisy. His quote is, "Success and happiness are two separate paths. Success is beautiful, but happiness has to be equally pursued. Success doesn't guarantee happiness, and happiness doesn't require success."
Oh.
I think there's so much wisdom in that, and it's been great to see how much success that you've had in real estate, but it's also really great to see you pursue something that brings you so much happiness. Like,
But he's
I
just
know that
really
you're so-
lucky.
I
is
know
how-
I know that you're so good at real estate, but you don't talk about houses the way that you talk about your producing and writing and
Right.
everything that you're working on. So
Yeah.
it's really good to see you got that twinkle in your eye that's not from Irene, and and the happiness that you're pursuing. And I think that that's something that we can all do, is to not just pursue a job that's got more money or chasing paychecks, but do something that really fulfills you and brings you happiness.
For sure.
Here's what I do know is one day we're going to get up. Lafayette's going to be on the big screen.
Yeah.
We're going to look up, and he's going to have produced a major feature film. We're going to say we knew him when.
Yep.
He was on our podcast.
then our podcast will get a million
you come
views.
back
Yes.
then when we're still doing the podcast,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Make him
I-
sign something.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think you can ever get too big to, go back where you came from. So
Yeah.
Well,
it would be
that-
nothing to me.
That is awesome. Well, guys, this has been fantastic. Listen to us wherever you get your most popular podcast, on Apple or Google or any place that you get podcasts. There you go.
www.pbjz.com.
Yes,
There
there's
you
a
go.
link there for you. Like, listen, subscribe.
Yeah.
Like, listen, subscribe. We're out.
We out.
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.